Hello, library friends! Welcome to Week 2 of Art Adventures, brought to you by the Lynchburg Public Library. I am Miss Victoria, and I am very excited to share some more awesome art projects with you as part of our summer reading program. Each Art Adventures video will start with a brief introduction to a famous artist and the techniques they used to create their masterpieces. We'll look at some examples of their work before getting started making some of our very own. The artist we are learning from today is Georges Seurat, who was born in Paris, France in 1859. Now you may have noticed from the intro slide that his name looks like George with an S on the end of it, but it's not pronounced Georges. His name is pronounced Georges. Seurat originally based his artwork on the Impressionist art style. Impressionists were making paintings that didn't look like a photograph of real life, but instead focused on giving the impression of the way light and atmosphere affected the way things look to the human eye. In other words, the Impressionists were painting the way they saw the world around them. After one of Seurat's large paintings was rejected by the Paris Art Salon, the major French art exhibition, he and a group of his artist friends created their own society, the Society of Independent Artists. I am putting the actual French title on the screen for you. But their society made it possible for an artist to display any work they wanted without being judged or rejected. Seurat's art became so different that he helped inspire a new art movement called Neo-Impressionism. Neo means new. He also helped develop a unique style of painting called divisionism, also sometimes called pointillism. In fact, there are people today who still call Seurat the father of pointillism. Now let's take a look at what this all means. Now here's a great book about Seurat that our library owns. It is called Seurat and Le Grand Jatte. It was written by Robert Burleigh, and this is a story about when Seurat was painting his most famous work of art. This is a youth nonfiction book, and I do highly recommend checking it out sometime. However, the book I will be referring to today is from my own personal collection. It is called Joining the Dots, The Art of Seurat. It was written by In-Suk Kim and illustrated by Xian Jiang. And in this book, we see some great examples of Seurat's pointillism painting techniques. For example, instead of mixing his paint colors together on a palette before putting them on his canvas, like most people would, Seurat would make dabs or dots of one color, for example, blue, and then go back and fill in the spaces between them with another color, for example, yellow. And he did this to fool our eyes and our brains. And that's what's so neat about the pointillism painting style, is we're looking at this right now. We see blue dots and yellow dots, right? Just blue and just yellow. Yeah? Right. But if you look at a painting that is done in this style, if you look at it from far away, if you look at it from across the room in an art gallery, in a museum, it will look like green. So here in this illustration, Seurat has stepped back to look at his artwork, and he can see that the blue and yellow dots fool our eyes. They look like they're joined together and they are green instead. Isn't that neat? I thought so too. Let's remind ourselves of what the primary colors are. Red and yellow and blue. Red and blue make purple. Blue and yellow make green. And yellow and red make orange. Purple, green, and orange are all known as secondary colors because each one is a color you can make by mixing two primary colors. Normally, we would mix the paints together on a palette and then use that new color on the canvas. But as we just saw in the book, Seurat was making dots of color side by side instead to fool our eyes. Sometimes he would mix secondary colors on his palette, and then those dots could make something new, like orange and green dots next to each other could look brown to our eyes. This is not only art, it is also science. Here are some examples of Seurat's artwork. The piece we are going to play around with today is La Tour Eiffel, or the Eiffel Tower. Seurat painted this piece the same year the real Eiffel Tower in Paris was finished being built. And although A Sunday on La Grande Jatte is Seurat's most famous pointillist work of art, I chose the Eiffel Tower for us to work with today because it is a simple subject. And you can also paint the Eiffel Tower, like I will be doing, or you can choose another building or object that is important to you. Here is what you will need. Remember though, there is no right or wrong in art, so feel free to do things your own way. You will need paint in the 3 primary colors. You can use acrylic paint in a bottle like this, or in a tube like this. Either kind is fine if you are using acrylic paint, or you could use tempera paint, also known as poster paint, or something similar. I would not recommend watercolor paint for this project. Seurat used oil paint, but oil paint is very messy and it involves harmful chemicals, so I would not recommend it for kids to use. We will still be able to use Seurat's pointillism style, even though we are using a different kind of paint. You will need heavy paper or cardstock. You could also use an artist's canvas or a canvas pad from a craft store. Here is mine. You can see it's very well loved. And what this is, it's a pad full of paper-thin pieces of canvas. But you don't have to get fancy. Heavy paper works just fine. And here's a fun fact. Seurat's painting of the Eiffel Tower didn't use canvas or paper. He painted it on wood. That is something you could also try. You will need cotton swabs. The more, the merrier. You could also use a paintbrush to dab your paint on, which is what Seurat did, but I'll be using cotton swabs today. I find that for this kind of project, they make things go a little more quickly and a little less messily. Messily? You will also need a palette or a disposable plate to pour your paint onto. I say disposable so you don't use your family's good dinner plates, but if you have one your adult doesn't mind you using, then go ahead. I'll be using this acrylic sheet I have left over from an art class I once took. You will need a pencil, and last, you will need paper towels for any messes that may happen. A paper towel is also a good place to lay down your cotton swabs. Now let's get started making our pointillist art. I am going to start by sketching the Eiffel Tower on my paper using Seurat's painting as a guide. I'm going to start partway up on my paper to leave room for the other things at the bottom, which we'll get to in a moment. I'm going to start by drawing one slanted diagonal line going this way towards my right, and then another on the other side going the other way towards my left. Now, I'm going to make my lines a little darker, I think, so you can see them better on camera, but you can sketch yours lightly. Either way, just remember that you will be going over your lines with paint. You'll be painting over your lines. So don't worry if it takes you a few tries to sketch your tower how you'd like. So, Now I just need to draw a line on either side that goes up. You can see how the Eiffel Tower curves a bit, and then the lines get closer together at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and make my lines. See how it's just curving a little bit here, and then going straighter up towards the top, getting closer towards the middle of the paper. Now this is probably the trickiest part. This is the part that may take you a few tries, or it might not. You might like how you've done it on the very first try, which is wonderful. Okay, so I've got my diagonal lines that curve up towards the top of my paper, and now I'm just going to make the lines join together in a point, like that. See, very sketchy, but that's how the tower joins together. And then I'm going to draw a half circle here for the arch. If you look at Seurat's art, you'll see there is a half circle shape there. I'm just going to sketch mine out, but you could use a little cup or a lid to something that is round and the right size for you. You could use that and trace around it, however you'd like to do it. I am just going to sketch my little half circle. That's approximately how I'd like it. You know what? I'm going to make my lines go down a little bit more. I'm going to make my diagonal lines go down just a little more so that my half circle can too. There. That just gives our tower a little more room at the base. You can draw yours how you'd like, but next I'm going to draw a little triangular shape in here, a little triangle. If you see the picture of Seurat's art, you'll notice that the Eiffel Tower has this little, it looks like a cutout. You can see the sky behind it. So I'm just going to sketch a little triangle in here. But it's like a triangle that doesn't have a top. So instead of my triangle coming to a point, I'm just going to make it flat. And if it's easier for you to draw a regular triangle and then erase the point off of it, then go right ahead. And of course, this is your artwork. I'm just trying to make mine look pretty much like Seurat's art. I'm just being inspired by him. Yours can look however you would like it. Now, I have my relative tower shape. My tower's a little crooked here, but that's okay too, because it is not real. It's just a picture. So if my tower is slanting, that is fine. And at the bottom, I'm going to sketch the shapes that are in the foreground of Seurat's painting. And the things in the foreground, that means they are the things that look like they are closer to you. So I'm just going to do little sketchy lines, kind of like squares or rectangles that are kind of on an angle there. Very loosely sketching them in. Again, you can put anything you like at the bottom of your paper. You can have anything in the foreground you want. Kind of like that is how I'm doing mine. A little bit like Seurat's. So I've got these done. And now what should I do? Oh yes, I don't want to leave the tree out. You can see on the side of Seurat's painting, you see part of a tree coming over this way. So I'm just going to kind of scribble out where I want that to be. It won't look like this when I'm done painting. I'm just making some scribbly lines so I remember where to put the dots that will make up my little tree. Okay, and let's see. We're almost done sketching. So the last thing we need to do with our sketch is to make a line going across our paper at the bottom of the tower, because that is the ground that the tower will stand on. So I'm just going to do a line here. I'm not even going to use a ruler, because ground, real ground, when you go outside, it's never completely level, is it? Not naturally, anyway. So there we go. I've got my tower shape made by my diagonal lines that go up. I've got my half circle at the base of the tower. I've got my triangle without a point. I've got the ground for my tower to stand on. I've got some little shapes at the bottom, the foreground, and then I've got my little scribbly area where my tree will go. Now it's time to paint. I've poured my primary colors onto my palette already. Before we start dotting our paint onto our paper or canvas, let's look at some of the studies or practice pieces Seurat made for some of his paintings. This is where you can really see how he used the dots. Okay, I'm ready now. I'm going to paint my tower with yellow and red dots. You can do yours any colors you'd like. But I'm going to start with red dots and then fill in with yellow. I'll do the red dots first and the yellow dots between, and sometimes I will have the yellow dots overlapping the red as well. Just get some paint onto my cotton swab and start dotting. That's all there is to it. Now it's time to paint the ground with yellow and blue dots and the nearby river that's around in here with blue dots. You can add white dots here along with the blue for sparkly water if you have white paint. It's totally up to you. Okay, so we have our ground painted here. See, I painted around where we sketched out the foreground items, the things that are closer to us. We painted the ground here, and then we have the river flowing by in the distance. And now it's time to paint the foreground things. And I'm going to paint, let's see, I'm going to paint this one with red and yellow, just like I did with the tower. Because if you look at Seurat's painting, his foreground object that is here on the left looks a little more orangey than the other two. The other two have shades of green in them. They look more plant-like. So let's see. So I'll do yellow and red dots here and blue and yellow dots here. But I'm going to do something a little different. So these sections here don't blend in with the ground around it, which are also blue and yellow dots. I think what I will do is use more yellow on these two. So I'm going to get started first, though, with my yellow and red dots right over here. And remember, your painting is your painting. You can use any colors you like. Now it's time to paint the sky. Seurat added some golden tones to the blue in his sky, so I will do the same by adding some yellow dots here and there. I don't want to add too many because I don't want my sky to look green. I do want to make my blue lighter though, so I made a last-minute decision to mix some white with the blue on my palette. That will be fine, though. Like we said earlier, Seurat sometimes did mix colors on his palette before making his dots, and my paint will still be blue. It will just be a lighter shade of blue. Okay, so the next and last thing we have to paint in our Eiffel Tower scene, if you are making yours the same way I'm making mine, is this tree that's off to the side. Now I am going to use yellow and red again, because this, in Seurat's work at least, does not look like a tree with lots of green leaves. It looks more like an autumn tree, or just a tree with a lot of branches. So I'm going to use yellow and red. I think I will go a little more heavy on the red dots this time to make it look less like my tower and this object here. And now my Eiffel Tower scene is complete. If you've been following along with me and making yours the same way, then your scene is complete too, unless there's something else you would like to add. It's up to you. But we have the Eiffel Tower, and the sky, and the tree, and the ground, and the river, and the items in the foreground, which is, remember, the items that look like they are closer to you. So this is all done. I could say my work is completely finished. There's nothing else I'd like to do. But there is one more thing I would like to do, and you can choose to do this on your artwork as well if you like, or not. Again, it's up to you. But Seurat liked to add borders of dots to many of his paintings, like a little frame around the edges of his picture made out of dots. So I think I would like to do that today. I'm going to add a little dotted border around the edges of my picture. And the fun thing about this part, you're not trying to make any certain color. So I'm just going to use random combinations of my primary colors. I'll leave this light blue out. I'm just going to use the primary colors on mine. And now my artwork is complete. How do the colors in your painting look to you? Try looking at your artwork close up and then from farther away. Do the colors seem to change? I'd love to see how your artwork turned out. You can send pictures to us at the Lynchburg Public Library via Facebook Messenger. Thank you so much for joining this week's Art Adventures program. I hope you tune in again next week to make another masterpiece. And don't forget, our virtual summer reading program means that there is something fun happening every day. Just check our website or Facebook page for event details and/or announcements, And don't forget to register on Read Squared so you can earn cool virtual badges and chances to win a grand prize. See you next time!